You grow hard about what you want to be. Step 4. Everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up.
Welcome to Tales from the Field. We are back and better than ever. My name is Bradley Ball, and it is so good to have you with us. On Tuesday, we had Karen Lopez, 11-time data platform MVP, with us. She's also a NASA Datanaut, a senior project manager and architect over at Info Advisors. She owns the Karen's Travel Stories hashtag on Twitter. And we talked about traveling. We talked about crazy stories that we had, tips and tricks as we all start to travel again. Josh hosted. I was disqualified again. I'm sensing a pattern here, Ludeman. Andreas won and has hosting duties for next week. Congratulations, Andreas. If you haven't seen that episode, don't worry. Stay right there. We stream these live, but they are logged over at our YouTube channel, and you can go over there and check them out at your convenience. If you want to interact with the show, right now we are streaming out of the Twitter accounts of Sequel Balls, Tales from the Field, Neeraj Jafari, Josh Ludeman, also streaming on my LinkedIn account of Sequel Balls. So head over there, tweet on any of those streams. You can also comment on our stream over at our YouTube channel. And one of my wonderful co-hosts will see that and probably add it to the show. Don't forget, we are 4 weeks away from Ignite, from Live 360, and also from the Past Summit. At the Past Summit, there will be a video recording of us under the SQL product group, which is Tales from the Field, Migrations to Azure SQL Database. At Live 360, myself and Buck Woody and Josh Ludeman will be giving you a pre-con. Go to aka.ms/live360 to see the SQL ground to cloud information. Sign up for that. It's going to be a hands-on workshop. Great stuff and great content that we're putting together. We hope to see you there. As if it couldn't get any better, let me introduce these co-hosts of mine. I am joined by Andreas Padilla, Josh Ludeman, the man of the hour, the tower of power, #1 on the call sheet, and also in our hearts, Neeraj Jafari. Gentlemen, welcome. But wait, there's more. We have a special guest with us today. Chris Ayers himself is here in the Electrons. Chris is a senior Azure Fast Track customer engineer. He is DevOps and developer focused. He is one of our coworkers over on the Azure Fast Track product group. He has a focus in modern applications built with DevOps, microservices, containers, single page apps, RESTful APIs, and cloud technologies following agile practices. In his free time, Chris is a speaker at numerous meetups, an avid reader and gamer, and after a few drinks, he is one of the most hyperactive merengue dancers I have ever seen before. Chris, welcome. There we go.
Hey, how's it going? Spicy.
There, I like it. All right, so Andreas, you won your second hosting duties. I'm happy for you. A bit confused about my disqualification, but happy for you nonetheless.
There's nothing to be confused about. There's nothing to be confused about.
Peep down there a little bit. Peep down.
I'm new here, and I understand this.
I agree with Josh. There's nothing to be confused about. Losers will always find an excuse. So there you go.
Poor man blames the tools.
Ouch.
Oh, yeah,
well,
exactly.
It's good that you finally won then, because it took you a little over a month, loser. So good job on finally becoming a winner. That's nice. #2 for you. Good luck there, getting another one.
How many wins do you have? How many wins?
2.
All of us two. All have 2 now.
Oh, we all have 2.
There you go.
Yeah.
We're all tied up. Oh,
yeah.
All right. That means whoever wins next week is the first three-peat.
Huh.
And I
bet you if you win, it's fixed. Just saying.
Should we disqualify Brad right now?
Well, I think it's a bit early for that, but we never know. Maybe Josh won't show up and he'll send in Hope Foley again, because she was amazing. I would love to see Hope.
I will never apologize for sending in a ringer. I
don't think you should.
No, absolutely not. You adjust when you need to.
Personally, I like it when you're not here.
You figured that.
That means it will get to disqualify.
Brad, that was one of our best shows. When
it really
Josh
was.
Here. It was.
I know. It was amazing. Well, and if you notice, when Josh isn't here, Josh wins. I don't even know. I think we're also grateful that he's not here, that we're like, whoever is here for Josh, well done. Thank you. Food for thought. Right, Beardo?
Okay. Okay.
Chris, you just finished organizing DevOps Tampa Bay. You present all over the place. Josh is rethinking whether he wants that AKS in my name again. You are a very busy man. What have you got coming up next?
Yeah, so last week I actually flew up to Cincinnati. We spoke at Momentum Conference, and then flew back for my speaker dinner for DevOps Day Tampa Bay. So you came over. You were one of our speakers. We had a couple of my Microsoft coworkers. We had a couple of CSEs and an MCS person, as well as some fast track. We had sponsors from all over the country. We had some speakers from Europe and from New York, local speakers, Orlando speakers. It was a really great turnout. In a couple weeks, I'm flying up to the Poconos for Tech Bash, which I'm really excited about. I'm also speaking remotely at .NET Conf and Granite State Code Conf, and then in January doing Code Mash, and I'm flying over to Norway for NDC Security, talking about infrastructure as code and security.
So I'm curious, do you take time off?
Do you sleep?
Yes. Yes, of course. I mean, I got to play video
Really?
games. You know,
Because you're running around everywhere. I mean, like, that was my first thought. You're going through all this stuff that you're doing just by January, and I'm going, so
That's
you're
so
not,
much for
you're
me.
you're a vampire because you don't sleep.
no, I sleep quite a
Um,
bit. I like to play video games. I got recurring D&D games like every week.
Well,
I
this
hang out with my
looks
friends.
while your background looks like your home, I would imagine you sleep in an airplane or a hotel room on a regular because, my gosh, you're everywhere. That's awesome.
Well, I
I
do
was
have
get-
some travel tips of my own as far as like
Ooh,
Oh.
let's
bringing a
hear
dock.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, I always bring a dock and either my Steam Deck or a Switch. So as soon as I walk into a hotel room, hook it up to the TV. You got like Netflix and Hulu, video game. You know, you don't get to deal with the crap of the television.
I've got an HDMI adapter that works with my iPad. And so the second that I get in a hotel room, I flip around the TV, I find the HDMI port, and I just plug in. So that way I've got,
Yep.
yeah.
And there's all the little tricks because they have like the new remotes that won't let you change input. So you have to find the buttons on the TV to change input or unhook
Mhm.
and hook your stuff in.
Yep.
I have a presenting kit I use when I travel. So I've got an adapter for everything. There's this Dell Puck that's amazing. It has
As a matter of fact,
support, DVI.
I was
all
going to
of it.
say, you helped me out because when I was over there, I had a laptop and my old Surface laptop had many display ports. I haven't had to travel and present a lot. And the new Surface laptop has a USB-C video port adapter. And you had a great one to
Wow.
be able to
Yeah,
utilize.
this thing has like everything on it. It was like $100, and it just curls right up into the size of your hand. So I always have like a clicker, like extension cables, Ethernet cables, adapters. I got that at a conference, so I just carry it everywhere I go when I'm presenting.
I remember Andreas had shared one of your links for DevOps Tampa Bay days, and I had reached out to you, and I think I said something along the lines of, "Hey, Chris, what are you doing? What are you doing? What do you got going on? We'd be happy to share that and say, hey, folks, go check out these websites and go check out these great community things." You listed like 10 things before I could even blink, and I was just like, "Send me a list, man. Send me a list." I'm not going to remember.
I live on Sessionize, and I follow the Tech Daily CFP on Twitter. So this is my hobby. Okay, like you guys, I'm not an advocate. I'm not an evangelist. Like, it's not my day job to travel, to speak, to go to conferences. I just love doing it because if you've like, I'm on a couple of speaking circuits now where I've like hit a lot of Midwest and Central US conferences. I know a lot of the advocates from like Redis and Mongo and Red Hat. I see a lot of recurring people over and over again. And I tell you, when you go to a conference and you're sitting in the speaker room and you're talking with other speakers who are passionate about technology, you go to a room and there's attendees who are curious that want to know, about whatever you're talking about. It's just an amazing feeling. Like you build such amazing networks, you learn things, and you make these connections of people that just either have issues or have questions or just love what you're doing. And so I pay out of pocket to usually fly to a lot of these places. I look for conferences that provide hotels for free or will compensate flight or travel, but I probably spent thousands flying around the country speaking because I like doing it. But like I said, it's a hobby. It's not my job.
No, I hear you. Well, and it's one of those things. I often recommend this to people because I see the most career growth in anyone when they start speaking, because you never get to know a subject as much as when people get to poke holes in it. You have to learn all those do's and don'ts and ins and outs. And I remember when I first started presenting, I literally I would have a joke. I would say, I'm not a smart man, or at least that's what my wife tells me. And I'd say, this is a notepad right here. If you ask me a question, I don't know the answer. I'm going to research it. It's going to become a blog post. I will get you that answer. And that was part of the way that I learned a lot of things in depth. After 6 months of doing some of the same presentations, it's funny, I was still doing the same bit, but I wasn't writing things down anymore because I realized there weren't any new questions. I had figured this out. That level of technical mastery is really important, because when you start talking about things, when we get in the business world, when we're working with customers, when you're, and your customer, people think of that as a consulting term. Your customer could be, here are the business people that are in the room that I'm explaining how this process works. Here's my boss that I'm trying to say, you can trust this technology because here's what I know about it. So wherever you work, you have a customer, and being able to explain those things with technical confidence and proficiency really helps you to be able to be in those situations where you get to be the technical expert for wherever you're working. And it's just something I can't recommend enough to people.
It's something we've seen with all. I mean, I've given talks on like how to get started. Like, find a local meetup, find a regional like code camp or something. Like, there's probably something in your town. Go talk about something you're working on at work, something cool, something you learned. Like, there's lots of ways to get started. But I know I've been in the room with a number of you with customers, and the skills you learn speaking apply at work, and it takes you quite far. And we described the best way to learn something is to teach it. The Feynman method. Like, can you explain it like they're 5? Like, can you break stuff down into complex topics down to small, easy, bite-sized chunks of information?
Well,
that is a great skill.
Yeah, and even for me, one of the greatest skills I brought out of speaking at conferences was being able to shift with the room, right? So, like one of the talks I had given, it's not as popular anymore. Everybody kind of knows what it was, but it was Introduction to Concepts Behind Big Data, especially when that was really popping up. If it's not in a relational database, people were like, what do you mean? Big data. I got a big database. Is that it? So that was, it was the concepts around that. I always had it categorized at intermediate, but I'd have intro people coming in. And so you kind of just had to do a call of the room, feel it out, see where everybody was, and then the presentation would adjust. So some slides I would, have in the deck and they were intro, but if it was an intermediate, I would just go through the slide and be like, yep, and we've got this slide just to remind you of those basic concepts, and I'd click right through it. Other rooms, I'd really have to dig into the intro stuff and pivot, and then, it just helps you be more agile about the topic as well, and really understand how to be agile on any topic.
I tell people, we always talk about T-shaped developer. You're like, you get a wide breadth and you're narrow. When you start presenting, maybe the T is like very narrow because you got your material. And like Brad said, as you get questions, it starts to get a little wider. And as you present, you can kind of riff a little bit. You can flow back and forth within those boundaries. And the more you do it, the wider it gets. And just the more natural everything becomes. And you can just flow every part of the discussion.
Absolutely.
So speaking of discussions, I'm going to move us over to the community content that we have. This is the roundup.
So smooth.
I was going to say, first up, I've got Neeraj Jafari. And Neeraj, I believe you have something that themes off of this week. Sure. What have you got?
So sticking with the same theme that we had, and plus for people like Chris and travelers out there who are constantly doing it up, this is a blog by Nomadic Matt. He's one of the New York Times bestseller. He gives the tips how to travel, best tips to travel, and how to save money also. I mean, there are ways you can save money in this whole thing. And people where you don't go to conference and you don't get paid for it, or you're doing for out of your pocket, something that can help you out to save money there. So definitely something to read about it. And it's best ways to travel. I mean, I like your tip, travel with the USB thing. I like that. I mean, and the TV thing. I would definitely put that in there.
Don't check a bag. And if you're going to a conference, free T-shirts.
Yeah.
It's a lot of interesting tips. The first thing that I think of, though, is these are not meant if you're traveling with kids.
Yes.
No, this is all
so
business
this is
traveler.
Yeah, these are grown-up business traveler tips, but they are good tips. All right, no, good stuff.
Yes.
I like it. Let's see. So next up on the list, let's see. Oh, it's me. Okay. So I've got, starting with brand new Azure AD Life Cycle Workflows by Pim Jacobs. I found this to be a very interesting read. I was looking up some things on identity, came across this. Pim is actually one of our MVPs in the Azure identity space. I was very excited to read this just to kind of get that alternative point of view, because identity is not typically something that we cover in data. And so it talks about how the life cycle actually works, how to be able to trigger off some of the automation. The other thing I would say is it's interesting because in the GUI, you only are able to set this at a 3-hour window. He shows immediately how you can push an API call to be able to get this down to 1 hour for every workflow. This doesn't create new people or create new logins. That's a separate process. But this is a series. And he also talks about the some of the limitations between Cloud Sync and Azure AD Connect, and some of the things that you're going to need each for to be able to get some of those Azure AAD fields to be able to utilize some of the flows that we're looking at. Very well detailed. Love the screens. Love the detail of this. So very nice work that we have by Pim Jacobs. Let's see. So next up, we have Josh Ludeman. I'm surprised I'm not disqualified just for giving you a turn. But here you go. What have you got, Josh?
So really, and again, sticking to the point of traveling tips and stories and things like that, I wanted to lead with the Points Guy. The Points Guy blog page, really good about helping you to find the ins and outs of the different programs. As the programs change, they put out stories on the page to let you know how it changes. Will it affect you positively or negatively? As a traveler or user of those reward systems, whether it be through different airlines or hotels, things like that. Also, recommendations on how to find the best trip to different cities, cruise ship room service, a line-by-line guide to in-cabin dining, another one, just big and little things throughout traveling. This one works for maximizing the value for you if you're traveling a lot for work to get the points out of it. Also, some good stuff in there about personal travel, like JetBlue's flash sale. I saw a quick story about that. But again, the other things, the cruise tips and stuff. Just a lot of great meat in there. I have an RSS feed that watches there for when they post and stuff, just because there's interesting things.
No, it's a great website. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been on there. As a matter of fact, I've been on the Points Guides before. If I'm going to fly on a new airline, or I've got a whole bunch of travel coming up, or if I'm looking at different hotel programs, and especially around the beginning of the year, which we're approaching very rapidly, when people change their programs, to be able to see what are the benefits of going to one versus the other. It's a great site.
Hey, Josh, can you give some points from that site to Brad so that he stops on the disqualification?
There's no way to stop Brad from whining, so you can give him all the points in the world. He's still gonna whine like a little child. We just like good parents. We all need to just ignore the whining.
He's going to want a glass.
Can I offer a suggestion to the editor and maybe put someone between you guys on the screen so you're like in different corners?
Oh, no.
I can take care of that. There we go. As a matter of fact, hey, look at that. Andreas, you're up, buddy.
I actually, maybe we should think about that. We should storyboard that. Maybe give Neeraj a mute button for both Josh and Brad when they get out of hand. He can put you in timeout.
I like the idea of muting Josh.
Yeah, exactly. I have a great article here by my ambassador of IoT and digital twins, Nabil Mohammed. Nabil is a great.
He's awesome.
Great poster when it comes to anything IoT, and AI. But in this post that we have here in his blog, he shows us how to take a Percept device, hook it in, stream all the data that's coming from the Percept device, go into IoT Hub, then from there hook in an Azure function and flow that into an Azure Digital Twin service. And for those of you who don't know what Azure Digital Twin is, it's a service that helps you create digital representations of your environment. Where does this help me? It helps me in factory scenarios. It helps me in construction scenarios, security scenarios. I can set up a 3D scene and look how people do, where objects are located, how factory belts are working, all of that with a digital twin. But the glue behind this is getting the data in to the digital twin service. And Nabil shows us how to tie in a function app nicely between IoT Hub and Azure Digital Twins, so the digital twin can ingest all the JSON that it needs to showcase in a 3D scene. Anyways, it's a quick 15-minute read. If you're interested in getting into Percept and digital twins and looking at a full end-to-end scenario, this is a great blog to start with, and it's an easy one to get running.
Nice.
I love the detail. I love the fact that there's a video in there. Nabil is just a great human being, first off. We all know him, having worked with him for quite some time on the Azure Fast Track team. Not to beat the drum too many times, but everybody on this call is on the team. Nabil is on the team. If you're not working with us, I have no idea why. Because there's a lot of talent. And Nabil's on our infrastructure team, right?
Yes.
And Chris is on the DevOps team. We're on the data team. Just
I'm
across
on the
the
app.
board.
I'm on the app modernization team.
The app modernization. Thank you. That's the official title. The official.
Yeah.
There we go.
I just do DevOps. I help Andreas with DevOps. I help infrastructure I help everybody with DevOps. DevOps bridges all gaps.
And Chris, for those of you out there in our audience who have not seen Chris, bring his jam into the mix, the guy is a guru for DevOps, pretty much everything. But the way you've helped me, you've helped clients unblock them when it comes to DevOps and IACing the heck out of things. Man, that is genius.
I appreciate it.
You work, Chris. So keep at it, man.
Yeah. Chris is absolutely amazing. I think
now, if only we could get Nabil on here instead of Bradley, I think a lot of the other hosts would be happy.
Oh, what's that, Chris? I'm sorry, you're breaking
nothing.
up.
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry about that. Look at that. Your stream just got more solid. So next up, we have Neeraj. Neeraj, what have you got here?
So I just moved from the team this time just because I had spent yesterday almost half a day yesterday just with a SQL Server issue, migration from 2012 to 2016. And that's where I would read about this blog, and I was like, wow, this makes complete sense. Parallelism in SQL Server execution plan. We went to the plan and we did create all this stuff. The author, Ahmed Yassin, who is a SQL DBA, he really describes of what are the things that you should be really looking into it. We were able to point out some of the things from here to the customer and help them out to resolve the issue after a couple of hours. But yeah, definitely that they were rolling back to on-prem, and after going through all this exercise, they were able to get successfully to production. So something that I want to give them credit for.
Very nice, very nice. I always love a good SQL Server blog, and there's so much to look at with anything having to do with parallelism. You've got cost threshold for parallelism, which they cover maxed up, which they're also covering in the blog, and making sure that you understand the difference and when to use each. That's a really great one. Let's see. So I'm up next, and I've got Synapse, Delta Lakehouse, and Power BI Big Enterprise Data Work example. This is going to be a part 1 of a part 4 blog. Risha Svera, he is an MVP for the data platform for Microsoft. And this blog, again, this is going to be part 1. He talks about architecting this solution. He's got a great video that he did on this for a user group. And he walks through the introduction. I love animated GIFs like this. It takes some time to be able to build those, but it's fantastic. It allows you to be able to read and then get that visual representation, not just with the picture, but you can see some of the information that they're covering. And really what you need to look through. But also one of the things that he does is he helps scope this for the DP 500 certification, which we always get asked by people about certification. And I know when I present, sometimes people will come in the room and go, hey, does this cover this certification thing? I literally go, I have no idea. Here's what I'm covering. If it's on the cert, come on in and that'll help with that. So it's really nice that he actually kind of puts that up front and helps you understand exactly what you're looking at. Let's see. Next up, I believe we have Josh.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. So these are actually just, again, some more tech conference travel tips from Una Kravitz, who is a developer advocate over at Google. She has actually some really neat different graphics in here. She's put in, tips on bringing water bottles and things like that. Some of the more finer points. Also, some good app recommendations like TripIt, which I use. I believe some of the others here use. Chris is nodding. PackPoint helps you build a packaging list based off of your destination. So something for you to start with. She also talks about Duet Display, which, Brad, I think you were talking about in the pre-show, being able to use, or no, you were talking about Accord, but Duet Display allows you to use your iPad as a second display with your MacBook. Just a lot of good stuff in there. Pocket, which isn't, is just kind of a thing I learned traveling. Bag recommendations, taking a picture of everything. Just a lot of good little tips in there that I've, referred to this in the past, so I wanted to bring this up to the community.
No, I love this. I love it. There's a lot of little things that you don't necessarily think about, but these are all important. I know that whenever I'm packing to go on a trip, I've got I'm charging stuff overnight. I make sure that I've got my Bluetooth headphones, noise canceling. I've got backup earbuds with noise canceling because you're going to need them depending on where you're sitting in your flight. I've got content downloaded. We all go into a flight with the best of intentions. I'm going to get work done. I am going to work on this. And sometimes we do. And sometimes it's a great way for us to rewatch season 1 and 2 of Ted Lasso.
Yeah. And honestly, Karen had the best tip on Tuesday to dovetail off of what you were just saying about we all have the best intentions going into the trip. The most important thing to realize is the trip will not always go perfectly, and the best way to make that good is to, just relax, roll with the punches, and realize that you're here no matter what, and getting frustrated and angry or upset isn't going to make things any better for anybody. Just go to your Zen place and roll with it.
Absolutely.
Be
Okay,
nice.
so
Be nice to the people.
Yeah. Oh, and be nice. Agreed. That's
Yeah.
You should always be nice. There's enough mean people in the world. Being nice literally helps you stand out. And I have had people help me because I have been polite and kind to them, or apologize because I just saw somebody rip their head off and scream. There's no reason for that. We're all human beings. Andreas,
What's up? My turn.
you're up next. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk a little bit. I know you guys are still living in the past on Tuesday with all the traveling stuff. I want to tell the community about this must-know GitHub repo. You have to know this. If you're working in Azure, if you're working in making your way through Azure in your journey, this is one of those topics that you're going to want to get a grasp of. It's access control within your Azure Data Lake. In analytics, you have Synapse talking to a data lake. You have ML Studio, machine learning talking to a data lake. You have tons of services. Underneath it all, you have your data. Where's your data? It's in a data lake. I need to secure that. I need to be able to have granular control over the storage account, the containers, the folders, the files. This article makes it so easy for you to understand how it all works under the hood. How you access maybe with your own user. How does RBAC get under the hood? What's that control flow look like? What's it look like if a cluster, Spark cluster gets into the data? What's it look like if you use a service principal? All of that is in this article. this is one of those articles that every engineer should be reading. Whether you're an app dev, infrastructure, or analytics, must. And I give this to all my clients. It clears up so many questions for them.
Fantastic.
Nice,
I love it.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good one.
Neeraj, I've got you up next.
So same issues that I was facing yesterday. This article also helped me out, which is from Paul White. He's from New Zealand. MVP SQL Kiwi. He's called by SQL Kiwi on Twitter.
And look at how adorable. No, I'm just kidding. That's not Paul. I know Paul really well. Paul is a fantastic human being. One of the smartest people I have ever met, with knowledge of the query optimizer inside and outside of Microsoft. And this, I mean, what a cool thing to have picked up on SQL 2022. Sorry, go ahead, Neeraj.
So he's also did up his MVP 2011 to 2022, and the reason I picked it up is like execution plan timings that have changed in 2022, something that you could really look at it, study up, and things that made it more easier for people to use it up 2022. So.
Very nice, very nice. I love it. And he walks through the improvements. He gives the example of the execution plans, caveats, things of that nature. If you haven't checked this out, you should absolutely. That's probably a more accurate picture of Paul than that one up above. That was just adorable. But no, good call. I really enjoyed that one. Let's see. So next, I've got Mastering DP500, Synapse Serverless SQL and File Types: The Ultimate Guide by Nicola Illich, and I love Nicola's Twitter handle, Data Mozart. I mean, that's just what a beautiful Twitter handle to be able to have, Data Mozart. I love it because he walks through here, and I just had to explain this the other day to a customer, and it's really important to understand when you're looking at Data Lake, what file types can you use with it? What are the benefits of this? What does it look like when we get it? And why is it good? Why are there challenges? And what should we be using? So just a really great detailed guide on these different file types and how you're going to end up using them for Synapse Serverless. And again, love these do's, don'ts, all of that. Just absolutely wonderful. Let's see. Next up, I believe I have Josh yet again.
Yep. And just a quick one. We're not going to go scroll through all these because, but this was a little comedy relief at the end of it. With Jesse on a Journey, just 16 short, funny travel stories. They will make you laugh out loud. I've read through them. Quite hilarious, even, right in the first couple of stories, you'll be laughing. But yeah, she recommends at the beginning getting a nice drink, cup of coffee, tea, whatever you want. Sit back, relax, and read. I agree with her completely. Lots of good, funny stories in there.
Excellent. Good stuff. And I mean, you couldn't use a laugh, especially if you're on a long trip and things aren't going exactly how you wanted it to.
Absolutely.
All right, Andreas, this is you with our final piece of community content.
Final
What
one.
do we got here,
Even though the title, this one's a little bit deceiving. This one says best practices for designing a Microsoft Sentinel or Azure Defender for Cloud Workspace. And for all of you out there who have started to dabble or are working with Microsoft Sentinel, you need a warehouse underneath in the back closet. Where's that warehouse? Mm-hmm. It's for all your logs streaming in there. This article, it's a great article for understanding how to lay down your log analytics workspace. Do I need one log analytics?
We
lost
Andreas.
Tell me.
Lost you, buddy. We lost you right at, do I need one log analytics workspace?
Okay. This article will explain a lot about how to lay down your log analytics workspaces. Do I need one? Do I need two? Do I need just a few? The golden rule, in my opinion, is one ring to rule them and one ring to bind them. The Lord of the Rings saying, just one is enough. And Tiander, the author of the article, he goes in through best practices for the log analytics workspaces, how to apply Azure policy around them, and a bunch of other goodies that have to do with log analytics. Behind the scenes, you have Azure Monitor. Azure Monitor pumps in all that data into a workspace. Mm-hmm. For those of you who are starting to get into Azure, this is a great article for that component of understanding how Azure Monitor works, where those logs get pumped into. Do I need one workspace? Do I need two? Read this.
And And it applies to your applications too. Remember, App Insights is part of log analytics, and container insights, VM insights, storage insights. All of that is a layer that feeds data into log analytics and gives you views of and charts on that data.
Beautiful, Chris. Must read.
Absolutely. So I think we're now down to the reminders. Quick reminder, Tuesday is our hosting show. Andreas is the host. Keep in mind, Monday is Halloween, so we're going to have a Halloween theme on Tuesday. Maybe we'll be in costumes. We'll have to see. We hope all of you have a fun and a happy Halloween out there and that you enjoy your celebrations. Sign up for SQL Saturdays. Check them out. There's none imminent, but I believe there is one the week of November the 5th. We have a special guest joining us, but we're going to keep that a secret. We're gonna let you know on Monday who that is. Live 360. We've already talked about it once before. Is 4 weeks away. But Josh, where is it located at?
Oh, it is at the beautiful Lowe's Royal Pacific Resort and Conference Center on the vivacious grounds of Universal Studios Orlando.
Andres, you just got to come up and visit us, man. You got to come up here, spend a little more time. Last time you came with the family, but in the time before that, you were up here for SQL Saturday. I guarantee you come over here. We'll drive over. We'll see this resort together. And Chris, you can come over too.
We'll have the root of all my bad energy when Josh says that, it's because I'm jealous. I'm just jealous.
He gets money.
I was going to say there's a whiskey old fashioned with mezcal rinse. We call it the Maria. It's absolutely fantastic.
So one last thing, if Chris is an avid bar hopper connoisseur. He should take us to the greatest breweries in Florida. He knows where they're at. He knows where they're hitting.
We only hit 30 when we were down in Miami last time. There's only like 80 or so that we hit in Tampa. I've been to about 10 in Orlando.
I'll be honest. I'm not as big on breweries. There's some great breweries, but I know a lot of speakeasies. We can figure out how to balance this. We can do the best of both worlds.
Beautiful.
All right. I think that's everything. Did we have anything else that we needed to? Any other reminders, Sean? We good to go?
Just your
reminder. Go ahead, Neeraj.
Just remind me of that what is.
If you steal your kids' candies this weekend, videotape it.
It's good fun. It's easy to take candy from children. That's what the saying is, right?
I mean, for me, the most important reminder was Brad was disqualified again. That's all I had.
I thought we were keeping you two separated.
Yeah, I thought we were. How did you get next to me again, Ludeman? That's enough of that.
I was going to say,
everybody, have a great weekend. We'll see you Tuesday. Get lost, Josh.
After preparation, good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a